Yields back the balance of her time. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania's 13th District for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Chairman Lada and Ranking Member Castor, for holding this hearing. And Mr. Novak, thank you for being here today to testify. The United States is fortunate to have abundant and varied energy resources, including a large amount of natural gas in my home state of Pennsylvania. Under the Trump administration, we have seen these resources leveraged to increase American competitiveness and to add to energy security. However, the previous administration, as well as some local and state jurisdictions, have taken actions to disadvantage some forms of energy over others, ultimately crippling our energy sector in the process. While the establishment of some minimal energy efficiency standards can benefit consumers and help provide certainty for manufacturers, we saw the Department of Energy under Biden misuse their authority to create standards that failed to meet statutory requirements of providing significant energy savings in a cost-efficient manner. Instead, the Biden DOE hijacked the process and used flawed calculations to set efficiency standards that limit choice and across America drastically raise the cost for the consumers. There is a need to reconsider and reverse some of the most unrealistic appliance regulations to protect consumer choice. However, maintaining stable and predictable standards is important for companies that design and manufacture these appliances. Mr. Novak, how can we balance these two interests to ensure that both consumers and the appliance market are not overburdened by flawed regulations?
I would say first, my sister is a Johnstowner, so appreciate.
Glad to have a constituent sibling in testifying.
I think the first key to this is making sure that we're talking candidly about what the trade-offs are here. And as I mentioned in response to an earlier question, to be sure there are equities here in regard to tooling and reliance costs by manufacturers and stability in terms of meeting a marketplace. We also want to make sure that we're being candid in terms of talking about exactly what the trade-offs are for a consumer, exactly what they're getting in terms of the return on the efficiency gain relative to potential loss in utility or even working life of an appliance. And I think this is how we get the balancing right, is making sure that we're having an open and candid discussion about what exactly the trade-offs are. And I think the more concrete we are about the trade-offs, I think the smarter we'll be in the trade-offs we accept.
I think you recognizing and talking about Johnstown, Pennsylvania, where there is abundant natural gas, there are abundant resources, but it is consumer choice that must really guide that decision. So thank you for acknowledging that. In your opinion, does the change to the look-back period made by H.R. 4626, the Don't Mess with My Home Appliances Act, does that achieve the proper balance?
This is an area where we would really invite technical assistance. I feel like to connect the committee with a technical resource within energy to talk about some of the challenges in implementing look back will get us a smarter approach to look back in regard to both its scope as well as its periodicity. So we would invite that conversation.
So as we come to the end of a long morning with our first panel, you being the witness, is there anything that you, Mr. Novak, would like to reiterate or clarify from earlier testimony or earlier questioning?
Well, first I want to make sure I've got my response right in regard to the readiness under the weatherization program. And if I misspoke on that, I want to make sure that we get it right.
This is an opportunity to clarify that.
Yeah, the readiness that's an important thing. And clearly the objective of the readiness program is to ensure that you remove barriers to weatherization, right? That, you meet a need there. I'll just add that, as the conversation has evolved with this panel, I think there are pretty stark policy choices here. And here's my wish. I've got 5 children, right? I've got 5 children. And as I think about the future that they've got ahead, I recognize all of you have a just awesome responsibility to set policy for this country. We were all born here. We take it for granted. It's an amazing, amazing place. My mother's family has been here as long as people have been here, at least Europeans have been here. And I love this place. I've got a son in the Army. I've got kids in public service. I've got, my in-laws were in public service. My parents were public servants. This is an amazing place, and you all are stewards of it and the policy choices that are made. And what I promise to you is, although I'm new in my job, I'm all of 3 months, I think, and 2 weeks into my job, so I'm still learning a lot. And apologies for the number of things that means I have to take for the record. But I promise you this, which is I want a candid, open discussion about these policy choices. Doesn't mean we'll always agree, but I really want that conversation. I will tell you, having gotten to know our secretary a little bit, having gotten to know
Thank
his
you.
mom's
I
sister,
hate to interrupt, but the
welcomes the
gentleman's
same thing.
time's expired. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Indiana's 9th District for 5 minutes.